Have you ever wondered how to paint a base completely covered in skulls? I got you, dog. Yo, dog, Kenny Beige here. Next level painting. Hitting you up on the literal best of all days on this Friday morning in the Beats Lab in Hollywood, California. Got another painting tutorial for you guys. Today we're working on them bases. We're going to be doing skulls on bases. It's real simple. This is going to be real important to anybody out there with a corn army who wants all those skulls on those bases and then has to go through and paint them. I'm going to show you some simple techniques to getting that base game on lock. We're going to be using 99% airbrush and just a very small percentage, possibly only 1% paintbrush. It's real easy, guys. You can bang out a whole shitload of bases this way. Thanks to our sponsors, Secret Weapon Miniatures, for providing the base, and of course the Army Painter for providing the paints. Check these guys out in the links below. We got the description box as per the usual. I want to take this second to promote Patreon. It's my personal crowdfunding page, but more importantly, I need to do a couple of shout outs and recognize a couple of clutch individuals that came in hot this week. Got my man Olaf, James, my man Drake, Mike, Tim, Ernie, John, and Joel. Thanks, guys. It really means a lot, and it actually does help tremendously. Check me out on Patreon. If you want to get that early access, you want to see these videos 2 weeks early with no ads, all day or day. On a personal note, back in the Beats Lab, we're finally getting back into the swing of things post-Adepticon. Still a little behind on a few fronts, but we're making it happen, guys. We got Twitch. We got thelongwar.net. These are two things you're not going to want to miss. Check the description box below. We got all the links to our sponsors, to the rewards page, to the Twitch live show, to thelongwar.net. You know what to do, guys. Anyway, let's do it. All right, guys, let's start the show. Leather brown. This is a Army Painter paint, 100% match. Real good and thick paint, but we're going to throw it in the airbrush. Obviously, that's a follow-up. If you guys are curious about how to make paints like this work in the airbrush, check out last week's video. Here's your airbrush clogged. That's simple, guys. So you see here, we just thinned down these notoriously thick pigment paints, and we're now creating a base brown over this entire base provided to us by Secret Weapon Miniatures. It's a very cool base with almost like a river of skulls in the middle of it. It's amazing. I love it because any kind of big model can straddle this centerpiece. But the key here is it's black. We're doing a light coat of leather brown to establish those earth tones and those natural transitions, because we're working on the warm scale. There's a lot of different ways to paint skeletons. You can paint them on the cool, grays to white, or you can paint them to the browns to white. And I've always leaned on the brown to white effect on skulls because it just looks more organic. But I do also really love the other way. So it's just, this is part of the system. Skeleton bone, another Army Painter war paint. This is a great color. We're going to do something gangster right here. We're going to put a few drops of this in the pot with the brown, because at next level painting, we always like to marry the transition color with the previous shade at least one time. I feel like it eliminates speckling. It gives smoother transitions. It's part of my system. It might be redundant in some situations. It's just that I don't pick and choose. I just always do it. I've always established that as part of my routine. See, I'm showing you real quick how easy it is. I just pour it right in the pot, stir it up with my stirring brush, and I would probably add a little water. I don't know. But here we go. We're doing a quick transition, focusing on the skulls. And you can see it's still wet. We're moving quick, guys. I'm not trying to put any of this on the base, but overspray will happen because we are trying to transition the skulls from black to leather brown to this skeleton white color. It's all airbrush right now. It's super easy. We're going on mainly air with a little bit of paint, and then we're kind of periodically just going 100% air to help dry it up where we see pooling. And then when it looks dry enough, we go again. It's almost like rapid fire glazing. So check this out. It's a little bit drier. Now we've gone to 100% skeleton. We're not using any more of our transitional marriage. This is 100% the skeleton white. Now we're focusing on the tops of these skulls and these body parts and whatever. We're not trying to like completely paint them this color. We want there to be a bit of a transition still established. So we're not going as nearly hard in the paint. We're focusing just on the tops, rotating the base around, trying to catch the angles. But even if it gets a little gangster, it won't matter because I'll show you here later. In a later step, it don't matter. All right, here's one of my new favorite colors, Brain Matter Beige from the Army Painters. I love this fucking color. It's one of the coolest names and one of the coolest colors. So now we're going to come in with a very light coat of this, glaze worthy. And we're going in super trigger work, 90% air, 10% paint, just very subtly highlighting some of the ridges of these bones. You're not going to see a lot here because it is a very subtle transition, and we're only catching the angles with it. And also the light's going to burn out some of the transition. But trust me, it's part of my take it to 11 before you take it to 10 system. We want it to be one highlight color above what you think is acceptable, because we are going to use wash technique to wash it into submission, as it were. No big deal. Just remember that, take it to 11 before you take it to 10. But you see we're getting a lot of overspray on the brown. That's not a big deal. Okay, we're going back to leather brown. We're going to pull out our base brush and we're going to get it done, guys. This is really fast. Water your paint down and just go. And what we're doing is we're cutting back in around this river of bones. Real easy. We're bringing it right up to the edge with some watered down leather brown, which is the original color we started with. And that's going to help us create a nice clean delineation between our river and our dirt, also creating contrast. But you see there was tactics. I used the brown because it was easy, right, to do it all at once. And then now I can come back and cut it out, cut it in real easy. This is a fast rapid fire approach. I try to plan out the tactics, but I do want there to be a bit more contrast on the base, because we are working on the warm scale with these bones, and the base is super warm, so there's not as much contrast as I like, but you'll see. This is all tactics, all gangster technique. This is like it. We're not going to do any real work with the paintbrush. It's all going to be technique. Okay, we got that down. Let's pull out Necromancer Cloak. It's one of my favorite colors as well. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to start creating contrast. Now, we're going to start burning this Necromancer Cloak. This is like a weird grayish black. It's a warm black. I like it. And we're just randomly blending. We're blending it in from the edges, like burning it from the edges, creating a nice cool wasteland effect. But we're also throwing a couple of spurts here and there to try to like just dirty it up, give you some randomness to the discoloration of the texture here. But what it's doing is it is creating base contrast and an interesting transition. Now you can see that there is a weird phenomenon happening where it's radiating out from the river of bones, where there is a little bit more of that organic brown close to it, which I find very interesting on a base. Now, a lot of times you would try to do the darker color closer to the bones, but I like this for the, like it's almost like it's bleeding organicness away as it rains on it. It's just gross. Okay, now it's wash time. Dark tone. This is one of my favorite parts of the Army Painter, their wash game. So dark tone and military shader. What we're doing is we're creating sort of a sewer water right now, a gumbo. So that's that military shade has got green in it. Now mild brown. So now we have a brown, olive green, and a black. We're creating just sewer water. And we're going to throw the quick shade mixing medium in there, which is going to help make our wash do more. This has essentially been my wash go-to now since I've discovered it. So now we're going to stir it up with our big glazing brush. It's really going to help break up the surface tension. That glaze medium is ridiculous. Okay, now what we're going to do is it's time to wash these bones. And this is more of a dabbing technique than a brushing technique. We're just taking big, huge globs of this wash, putting it where we want with this dab, and then we're feathering it into the crevices. It's a bit slower. You don't want to go too aggressive here, because you actually could just pull some of the paint off. Now you could have seal coated it first, but for the sake of the video, I didn't do any varnishes yet. So dab it on. You see, we're making progress. These bones are coming out very realistic, very weathered. I'm feeling it. Skulls for the skull throne all day right now. See, dab it on, then manipulate it, slide it into the cracks. If you see any pulling, come back to it, pull it off with your brush. It's pretty fun. Like I love coming up with a good wash recipe for something like this. And you see that sewer water was like the perfect wash. There it is. Feeling that, letting that dry, but we're also gonna have to wash the base. I'll show you rapid fire. Now this is the same mix, but without the medium. I want it to be more aggressive, darker, try to create more contrast, as I said. And this is really gonna help us pull out some of the details, because this base is covered in subtle gravel details. It's not real aggressive here on the desert sides of the base. So this is going to help make the dark spots darker. So then later we can make the light spots lighter. That's basically contrast, right? Darker, darker, lighter, lighter. Real simple, guys. So now it's just a patient let paint dry game here. You can see right there, it's doing what it's like. See, all the dark areas are dark. It's literally awesome. So here we go. It's totally dry now. Now it's time to pull out one of the most ancient Chinese techniques of all time, dry brush technique. All we're doing here is getting our gangster dry brush, and we're going back to the original bone colors like skeleton and beige, the brain matter color. So like basically you're just building back up to our first highlight, but with a dry brush technique. It's literally, it's no science. I just have a little bit of the skeleton bone and the gray matter beige, and where they're just chilling, and I'm pulling from them both as I need to highlight the skulls and just going fast. But I am using light pressure here because I don't want to like pull any of the wash off because it might be barely dry. So I'm going rapid fire, super dry, light pressure at first. Then as I build up, less dry of a dry brush, even less pressure, just barely hitting those ridges. And it's creating a nice antiqued effect. Okay, now let's grab that Necromancer Cloak and mix it in a little bit with our leather brown from the first steps. And now that the base is so dark from all the wash, this color is going to really pull out some of those ridges and those textures. Look how much work it's doing, guys. That simple. Just getting your technique on lock. We're using just all the same colors throughout the project, and we're getting a phenomenal result out of it. And you can literally line up an entire army of these types of bases and just rapid fire this. I'm feeling it. Literally, if I had known these techniques when I first started, oh my God, bro. Like literally I was struggling to get things done. So this is the base. I'm happy with it. Let me show you the model that I plan on putting on it. You may be following me on Twitch. So I'm showing you guys how to do a lot of cool techniques on Twitch here recently. We're glazing. If you haven't seen it, follow me on Twitch. But here's what we're working on, the dry show right here. Get her in focus for you real quick. Doing her thug life. We're glazing. She's not done, but we're glazing all this stuff in. We're getting her looking her best. We're going to put her on this death base. Anyway, guys, play on. Play as